On the attack, the drone attack on the LNG tanker off of Egypt, what can you tell us about that? And is there any indication it's Iran-related? Does it represent
Well,
a wide
I give you a report. I've been briefed. It's a little more of the same, but it's going to be straightening out. It's going to be straightening out. In the meantime, we're going to be hitting them very hard.
U.S. President Donald Trump had warned that it was now America's turn to hit them. Hours later, U.S. Central Command announced it had carried out what it called powerful strikes on Iran, describing the operation as a direct response to Tehran's attempted missile attack on U.S. forces stationed in Jordan. The military said it had completed a heavy wave of strikes, effectively ending the three-day pause that Trump had ordered to give diplomacy a chance. Instead of reopening negotiations, both sides have now returned to open military confrontation, raising fresh concerns that the conflict could spiral into a much wider regional war.
We're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn to hit them. They know it's coming. They're asking us not to do it, but they tried shooting it last night. So we had 5 rockets shot going 8,500 miles an hour, and all 5 rockets were knocked down to the ground. But they nevertheless took a shot, so it's our turn. And we'll see if we get there with an agreement at some point, but we're going to hit them very hard.
The latest American operation followed Iran's surprise offensive a day earlier. Tehran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it had targeted a U.S. military base and command center in Jordan in response to what it described as American aggression. Iranian forces also claimed to have struck 3 commercial oil tankers passing through the Strait of Hormuz, after accusing them of using an unsafe and illegal route. Jordan, however, said its military intercepted 5 Iranian missiles before they reached their targets, with no casualties reported. Washington viewed the attack as a major escalation and quickly responded with military force. Following Trump's warning, explosions were reported across several parts of southern Iran. Iranian state media said the strikes hit areas including Piran-Shah, Keshem Island, Bushehr Province, and locations around Abadan City. Bushehr is home to Iran's only operational nuclear power plant, making it one of the country's most sensitive regions. Iranian media reported that some areas suffered temporary power outages after the attacks, although electricity was later restored. Officials said several strikes landed in uninhabited areas, while assessments of the overall damage are continuing. Before the latest escalation, regional mediators believed there was still a window to revive diplomacy. Qatar, Pakistan, and Oman had been actively working to bridge differences between Washington and Tehran and revive indirect negotiations. Officials involved in the process reportedly described the progress as significant. They were also discussing a temporary mechanism to regulate commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and reduce the risk of further conflict. But the renewed exchange of missiles has now pushed those diplomatic efforts to the brink, leaving mediators with far less room to secure even a temporary ceasefire. Even while mediation efforts were underway, Iran maintained that it was not holding direct negotiations with the United States. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei said mediators could pass messages from Washington, but insisted there were no face-to-face talks between the two countries. That position now appears even more entrenched after the latest American strikes. Prediction markets have also begun reflecting growing fears of a wider regional conflict, with traders raising the probability that Iran could launch fresh attacks against Gulf states in the coming days. Iranian officials argue that the Strait of Hormuz has become central to the country's national security. Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi said Tehran considers alternative shipping arrangements backed by the United States and Oman a direct challenge to Iran's sovereignty over the strategic waterway. He argued that allowing rival routes to function would weaken Iran's long-term security interests. Analysts say this suggests Tehran is increasingly prepared to use military action if it believes its influence over the strait is under threat, making future confrontations even more likely. The events of the past 2 days have dramatically altered the diplomatic landscape. Trump had paused bombing operations in the hope that negotiations could resume, but Iran's missile attack. and both sides now appear locked in another cycle of retaliation. For mediators, the challenge is no longer simply restarting dialogue. It is preventing another round of escalation that could further destabilize the Gulf, threaten global energy supplies, and prolong an already dangerous conflict. Now, the question stays unanswered is, what happens next?
On the drone attack on the LNG tanker off of Egypt, what can you tell us about that? And is there any indication it's Iran-related? Does it represent a
Well, I
wider
can give you a report. I've been briefed. It's a little more of the same, but it's going to be straightening out. It's going to be straightening out. In the meantime, we're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn to hit them. They know it's coming. They're asking us not to do it, but they tried shooting it last night. So we had 5 rockets shot going 8,500 miles an hour, and all 5 rockets were knocked down to the ground. But they nevertheless took a shot, so it's our turn. And we'll see if we get there with an agreement at some point, but we're going to hit them very hard.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.